Hello friends, welcome back once again to my channel. Hope you all are well by the grace of God. Stay home, stay safe, and that enjoy the time and utilize the time as your own best possible way. So for that said, look the presentation of today. So take it. So today we are going to discuss about the second part of the chapter, that is cell and cell organelle. I previously discussed about the first part, which was includes the cell basic concepts of cell, and then the brief descriptions of the functions and the structures, and some saying about the different cell organelles. From today's class, I will discuss about the membrane transport processes. There are several membrane transport processes which are very important as per the class syllabus also, and also for the future who wants to proceed with biology, because any kind of competitive exams, any kind of other exams also, this portion is very important, because nowadays the study of cell and cell organelle are much more oriented with these portions. So without taking much time, I am going to just directly to my topic. So let's have a look. First of all, this is a brief historical timeline. And the concept of genetics, we know the father of genetics was Gregor Johann Mendel. He first implanted the concept of genetics at 19th century, 1865. Then the total study of genetics has been developed through several scientists like Sutton Boveri and uh, Thomas Hunt Morgan. He is known as the father of applied genetics, or the basic concept of the genetics has been modified to the applied genetics, and this was first started from the time of Thomas Hunt Morgan. After the Morgan's work, there were Griffith, Biddle, Topham, McClintock. McClintock was a very famous scientist. She first discovered about the theories of multiple gene in the spike length of corn, and then Avery, McLeod, McCarthy, Hershey, Chase, Watson Crick. We all know the name of Watson Crick with the discovery of the double helix model of DNA. And after 1990s, more specifically from 1991, the HGP has been started, or Human Genome Project has been started. In between them, 1961, there was another very important discovery happened by Jacob Bonard and Leof, that is the discovery of operon. Okay, so now we will proceed our discussion one by one. So the next. What I previously mentioned, that we will discuss in today about the different membrane transport system, and after there will be discussion of the nucleus, chromosome, and other points. So first of all, just before starting the discussion about the membrane transport systems, there is a brief structure and works, or you can say some important features of cell membrane has been given here. They act like cell recognition and cell communication. They act import the signals, positive and negative signals, through the cell membrane. They are actually selectively permeable in nature. Selectively permeable, the term is very important because it actually signifies that the cell membrane allows some molecules to go inside, but also prevents something to go inside and also from the inside outside exchange has been prevented. So these are some important features of cell membrane. So when we are going to discuss about the membrane transport, there are two types of transport has been discussed. We'll have to discuss, that is the passive transport and one is the active transport. The main difference between passive transport and active transport is that passive transport does not require the expense of ATPs, or in that type of transport the molecules or the solutes of the transport medium, they will move from the higher concentration to the lower concentration, which is quite natural. So they will move like this, but in case of active transport, just the vice versa will occur. I mean, the molecules or the solutes will pass from the lower concentration to higher concentration. That's why when they are elevating themselves up against the pressure gradient, against the concentration gradient, they need some extra expensive energies in the form of ATPs. So in that case, the exchange of ATP will occur. Here are some types of passive transport, you can say, just like diffusion, facilitated diffusion. Diffusion is simply the mixture of lipids and lipid soluble substance to the plasma membrane, and facilitated diffusion almost like diffusion, but in case of facilitated diffusion there are some channel proteins, carrier proteins, etc. They will take the role, and some ion exchange will also occur. Here are some pictures that give him the clear cut idea about that. Now, what I mentioned earlier about the active transport, this is given here by the pictorial diagram. The primary and secondary active transport, the uniport means only one molecule or one solute will pass from the from the lower concentration to higher concentration. Co-transport, co means together. So co-transport means when more than one molecule togetherly pass from the lower to higher concentration. And antiport, symport. Antiport means when two molecules will pass just the opposite direction, but both of them are from lower to the higher condition and one is higher to the lower condition. This is the antiport. Anti means opposite. So that type of transport. Symport, sim means when uh, two molecules, two or maybe it may be more than two also, two molecules will pass together uh, in a same uh, way of transport, in the same direction they will go. So this is called the symport. And there are some passive transport process which I mentioned in, that is the facilitated diffusion, simple diffusion. It is given here in pictorial diagram. There are some are carrier mediated, some are channel mediated. So these are basic differences between the passive transport and active transport processes are given here. There is some endocytosis process, endocytosis, exocytosis. Endocytosis means when some particles first of all attach to the cell membrane and then they will be engulfed. They can be solid, they can be liquid. If they are solid, it is called the phagocytosis. If they are liquid, it is called the pinocytosis. Sometimes the endocytosis doesn't occur very directly, or not like that. When someone attached to the cell membrane, they will engulf by forming any cup or vesicle like that. They need some receptors. So this is called the receptor mediated endocytosis. These are some process that is given by some pictorial diagrams. Uh, just what I was discussing about the membrane proteins transporter method, there are channel proteins and carrier proteins. What are their basic difference? Basic mechanism is same. They will carry some molecules or some solutes from one concentration gradient to the another concentration gradient. But difference is there, their way of transport. In the channel proteins, they form a passage and they will move the particles or solute from one gradient to one layer to another layer. So they will form the passage. Carrier proteins is it also in a channelizing like activity, but in carrier proteins the carrier takes the protein and carries through the unto the last. So this is the basic difference between channel proteins and carrier proteins. In carrier proteins, the carrier will carry the molecules unto the last of its destination. So this is the main difference, you can say. These are some different type of solutions according to their tonicity: hypertonic, isotonic, and hypotonic. When the concentration of the outer of the cellular environment, outside environment, is higher solute, then the uh, water will move from the cellular area to the outer environment. So this is the hypertonic solution, and by this way the cell gets shrinked, or you can say that is the cell becomes plasmolized. In case of the hypertonic solutions, isotonic is when the outer environment uh, solute, the concentration of outer environment and cellular environment are the same, so there is no net movement occurs. That's why the diameter or the volume of cell will remain same. And in case of hypotonic solutions, the water will moves to the inner cell membrane and to the cellular area, because the concentration of the cell inside the cell is higher rather than the outer environment. So it will be the phase of swelling of the cells. So the cell will be swelled up. It is the turgidity of cell is called. So here the three phenomena has been given by a picture, and this is some histological slide that represents under the microscope. So thanks a lot for listening. Uh, this will be helpful, I think. Stay tuned for the next video.